Hey, welcome everybody. You are live with Jeannie Ives, and I'm here to give you a little bit of a Springfield update, considering that there is less than 48 hours in the regular spring session that is due to end tomorrow. That's right, May 31st. It's their last chance to get everything done before they go into, I guess, extra session time, where it would take a supermajority to pass anything. Now, the biggest thing that needs to come out of this session, of course, is the budget bill, and nobody has seen the budget bill at all. And I'm going to play you a clip here. This comes from the Center Square. Thank you to Greg Bishop for picking this up. This is a discussion between, I believe it's Harmon, who presented this bill, SB 2510, which is a budget bill, and Lee Arellano, who is a brand new state senator out of Dixon. Take a listen to this. It's really important that you catch how they do this budget. Again, I want to remind everybody that right now, the two budget bills that are passed, have been passed between the houses, HB 111 and SB 2510, neither one of them is filled with any concrete language. They're just empty shell bills with nothing in it. You've got less than 48 hours to pass a budget, and nobody knows anything about anything. Go ahead. I'm going.
A House bill with an appropriations title, a candidate for use in a budget for the end of the session here. We are reciprocating today by sending an appropriation title back to the House, and we'll negotiate with the House.
Did you catch that? An appropriation title, not an actual bill.
So this is a vehicle bill. There is no content, and I'd ask members who are able to support the bill going over to the House.
I just wanted to offer a real quick statement that transparency has always been very important to me coming out of where I came out of. I've been championing it for a long time. I'd note that the governor's proposal has been known for months. And so I just want to offer a little tidbit. I know it's probably not going to be well received, but for a body, sometimes somebody's brand new to it can offer a new lens. Transparency is important. We're days away. We have no language to look at. I am not speaking as a member of the minority party. I am speaking as a concerned citizen who wants to know what's getting discussed, to see in the discussions and have input. It's impossible to have input if there is this short of notice. This would not be legally acceptable at a municipality. And so my critique is, going forward, we have to find a way where transparency is, again, part of the process. That is not a criticism of this General Assembly. That is a criticism of the entire process going back years, decades, in a bipartisan manner. Thank you for graciously allowing this poor freshman.
Okay, so you heard that. Lee Arellano making really, really good points. First of all, that the process in actually exposing the budget, voting on the budget, letting people know what's in the budget would be completely illegal if done in any other government entity in the state of Illinois. You couldn't get away with this in your city. You couldn't get away with this at your school board meeting. You would have to know the specifics long before having 48 hours, less than 48 hours to pass a bill. And yet you heard Harmon say, this is just a title on a bill. This is empty. We're going to fill it up. Well, I'm telling you right now, it's 4:27 p.m. There's no language in those bills. I just checked. And I've been waiting since he passed off HB 111, I think sometime around 2 o'clock, 1:30. Today, still nothing. There's nothing. So they've been going back and forth. They've been either in committee or on the House floor passing a number of pieces of legislation. And the House just came out of committee. The Senate is back on the floor right now, passing out other sorts of information. And so I just wanted to go over some of the bills that have passed and some of them that are still pending. One of them, of course, and I highlighted this on my Facebook if you were watching, SB 1950, that was the assisted suicide bill that did pass the House. It is now in the Senate. I have not heard the debate yet on the Senate. Maybe that will come later tonight. No doubt both of those bodies will be in late into the night. Really good points were made about that on the Republican side. Of course, no Republican voted for it. About 5 Democrats voted against it in the House as well. It barely passed, 63 votes only. You have to have 60 votes to pass. Just think if we had just picked up 3 or 4 more seats, that bill would have been dead. Or you would have forced other Democrats to vote for a bill that they really didn't want to. A couple other bills that I want to highlight. And this one is SB 1331. This is the minority teacher program, which is interesting to me because they're being sued. The state of Illinois is being sued over the minority teacher program. So what have they decided to do instead? They have decided to essentially change the name and basically it's quote unquote change some of the technical ways that they would award this minority scholarship. And the truth is it's still going to go to minority students. They're just changing some of the metrics, like saying that you have to be, the scholarship is awarded to people that are low income, that come from low income schools, that come from schools where there's a high teacher vacancy. And so they're just playing word games with this, but they want that to pass as well. Another bill that I'm really concerned about, and I think this should not pass, and that is SB 2008. This was in Revenue and Finance earlier this morning. This is a business development program, and I listened to, I caught almost all the committee hearing, and I thought it was like, why are we doing this? This is a omnibus business development program that DCEO is supporting, and essentially what it does is it sets up, instead of a TIF, you would have a STAR bond, or a state tax assessment revenue bond is what it would be. So the incremental money that you would get off in state sales taxes in a development would go to pay for a bond to help support that development. So instead of using a property tax increment like in TIF district, you would use a state sales tax increment. And it was, this bill passed in 2010. Initially, it was used in the Metro East for a particular project. Actually, I don't think that project panned out very well. They were trying to attract a particular business. I think they stayed in Missouri. And then now Marion, the city of Marion, wants to do it to attract a furniture manufacturer. So it's a specific niche issue that they want to get people to invest in. And so the way it works, though, is that the increased sales taxes that come off of that development help pay for the bond. Well, the question was never asked specifically in committee, and it is the biggest question that needs to be asked. What happens if the project fails? Who's on the hook? Well, come to find out, I found out by a roundabout way that essentially the municipalities are on the hook if the bond doesn't work out, because they're the ones who are issuing the bond. Well, it's not municipalities that are on the hook. It's taxpayers that are on the hook. The local taxpayers are on the hook if the project doesn't work out. I think it's a terrible idea. The other thing is, it's just another gimmick that DCO is using to try and attract businesses, when we should be just wholesale cutting regulations, cutting taxes, opening up our economy, getting in clean and reliable energy, clean energy too. You can do clean coal. We should be doing things like that instead. This is one more gimmick. I thought it was interesting too that that part of the testimony was like, oh, we have 97 enterprise zones. 97 enterprise zones. We have 102 counties in the state of Illinois. Is every county an enterprise zone now because we're doing so terrible in terms of attracting companies without massive tax incentives? That is a problem for me. So this bill does it. It removes a cap for enterprise zones. It allows for 5 regional development authorities to create their own enterprise zones. Again, this is an omnibus development program. It has this STAR bond thing in it. It creates a super edge credit for Illinois steel and food production. It also goes back into making sure that the film credit is there as well. I mean, this is just like they're doing all these separate things. You've got your REV credits, which are for electric vehicle stuff. You've got your micro credits, which are for manufacturing. You've got the River's Edge zone credits. I mean, it goes on and on. You have all your little specific credits, all your special zones, all your regional development organizations. And what the hell? Just cut regulation and cut taxes, and have more modest things when it comes to workers' comp rules, things like that. Get rid of the trial lawyers. Quite frankly, they're a problem. But no, they don't do that. They're just adding another tool in the toolbox for municipalities. This is insane. Anyway, that's one of the problems there. And speaking of unions, let me find this bill. This I thought was very interesting as well. Uh-huh. Let me find that number. I cannot find the bill number right now, but there is a bill number that is, there is a bill out there that's really a problem, because what it does is it allows public sector governments, so governments in the state of Illinois at any level, to have an easier path to unionization, to get the unions in there. Before, you had to have kind of 35 employees before things kicked in, making it easier. Now, if you just have 5 employees, maybe 10 employees, you can be easily captured by a public sector union that wants to unionize us. Why is this important? Well, because in DuPage County, I mean, we lost largely to the Democrats. The Republicans did. I can just see that the highway commissioner is now going to try and unionize the workshop, since he's a business agent for Local 150. And this is terrible. This is a terrible idea for taxpayers. It's awful, but yet they're making it easier to unionize government in the state of Illinois. And so they're going to take all those little niche areas where they can. Maybe you have library workers that aren't unionized. Maybe you have, city workers that aren't unionized, that aren't police, fire, or public works. And so this is going to be a huge problem. Trust me. Let's see. Okay, another bill that passed that is a problem. This is interesting. This was a good bill, but it was very interesting to understand what's going on. This was HB 871, and I do appreciate that Representative Reich and Representative Weber's, both Republicans, spoke up about this bill. This is a bill that says that if you're DCFS, before you give a foster child to somebody, guess what? You have to have an extensive background check on them. And it stems from a case about 2 years ago where DCFS put a 16-year-old in with a known pimp, with a felony record. And this bill was actually presented over 2 years ago, according to Representative Reich. He's a Republican out of McHenry County. And the Democrats shut it down. They wouldn't do anything. And so finally, what did they do? They gave that same bill to a brand new Democrat state rep, and they passed it as if it was her own idea. It's not. But they wanted to give her credit for a really good bill that was something that was presented long before, and they shut it down before, and now they decide that it's okay to pass because they could give it to her. Let's see. They have a SB 1784 is a jobs bill. Basically, it says it gets rid of all old criminal records. It automatically seals a number of people with criminal records at, obviously not murder or anything, but it's still serious criminal records. They go to automatic sealing. So they had that bill. Okay. Let's see. Okay. HB 3709, of course, this passed the House and it now passed the Senate this morning. And that says that public universities and colleges must dispense the abortion medication to a student who wants it. And there was a lot of back and forth on this bill. It's still unclear. The sponsor would not actually list out who is authorized to prescribe it. She just kept saying it was somebody who is licensed in the state of Illinois. Well, who specifically? Because the licensing for who can actually write that prescription should be written right into the bill. It should be very clear who can and cannot do this. And of course, when you issue that medication abortion, there's no follow-up. This the abortion pill is very problematic. Nearly 11% of women have serious life-threatening complications. That was a study that just came out looking at 830,000 cases of this between 2017 and 2024. And 11% of these women had serious medical complications from taking the abortion pill, yet there's going to be no follow-up whatsoever. So that one passed as well. Okay, HB 460 is an interesting bill. As you know, and I brought this up last year, the Illinois Board of Higher Education is very proud of themselves that they now, when a student comes in to go to college or university, they like to check and see if they're eligible for child care services for if they happen to have a child. Are they eligible for housing or SNAP benefits or you name it? And what HB 460 says, that it will give benefits to people who are here illegally, that are not citizens, and also for those who fail to register for the Selective Service. So in this case, these would be transgendered boys who consider themselves to be a woman and will not register for the Selective Service. So this became a little bit of a brouhaha on the Senate floor. Of course, Republicans were like just appalled, and we all should be appalled. First, non-citizens should not be eligible for SNAP benefits. Number two, you know what? I'm sorry, your biological guy, you better sign up to do your part and defend this country. So there you go on that. The other bill that we have covered before on this show is HB 2436. This allows the Cook County Defender's Office to represent illegal immigrants, people in the country illegally, in immigration cases anywhere that, as long as they had at one time residency in Cook County. These Cook County defenders can now pick up that case and represent them anywhere that they might be. So let's say they get picked up in Indiana and or they get assigned an immigration court not in Cook County, in another state even. Well, if they were in the Cook County system at any time, a public defender from Cook County can represent them no matter where they are. It could even be another part of our state. That got some pushback, but of course it did pass. In fact, it got a lot of pushback. I'm sure no Republican voted for it. But the big problem here is, and Senator Kern spoke up about it, is that already they are cash strapped to even represent people who are too poor for representation, and yet they're just transferring that money and that effort over to illegals who are here for their immigration cases. And I think this would also go to anything that they had, if they had a criminal case against them as well, they would represent them as well. This is absolute nonsense. Personal pensions, they just had a hearing, and this was interesting because I will say this, I think that the tier 2 pension changes, I think that bill is pretty much dead, only because Senator Markwick sort of said that on the Senate floor when he passed a minor bill giving parity for Chicago police and fire with benefits that downstate police and fire people get. And in that, he said we're going to pass this out singularly because the bigger pension bill involving tier 2 looks to be stalled. That's what he said. But regardless, in pension committee, which I listened into because I was wondering what was happening there, HB 3193 has 21 different tweaks to pensions in the state of Illinois. I mean, just all sorts of things, like teachers who worked past their requirement to maintain their pension. There's a fix for that. Elected officials service credit. There's a fix for that if that got changed up. TRS supplemental, 457B plan changes, downstate police transfers. If you're in Cook County, you can buy 2 years of military duty for your pension system. I mean, there were 21 little pieces of pensions that instead got passed in this pension technical omnibus bill. Here's the problem with that. Here's what I think is the important takeaway. 21 little tweaks to pensions. Guess what? If they have just a 401k and Social Security, like all the rest of the taxpayers who have to pay for these hefty pensions, you wouldn't be doing 21 bills wrapped into an omnibus at the end of session because you're tweaking it for this guy and you're tweaking it for that guy and you're giving parity here and you're letting people buy 6 months of transfer credit between funds and all this other garbage. How about just forget it? The big pension bill that they need is everybody immediately who's a new hire, which this would be completely constitutional. It has a 401k and Social Security. That's it. Be done with it. But they won't do it. They keep doing this BS instead. HB 2568. Now this is past the House and now just the Senate. The Equality for Every Family Act. Essentially what that does, it deals with surrogacy and parentage and assisted assisted reproduction issues. It deals with all that. But what this particular bill does in regards to that topic is it completely gets rid of mother and father. It's just parent and parent. It completely gets rid of mother and father. That was the only intent of that bill for the most part. So, I mean, this is just some of what's going on in Springfield. The last thing I want to do is talk about this other bill that is just horrific. And this is HB 3438. This is a massive rewrite of the RTA, the Regional Transportation Authority, and it becomes known instead as the Northern Illinois Transit Authority. And it restructures the governance of the CTA, Chicago Transportation Authority, Metra, and PACE with new boards, new appointment procedures, and new oversight authority. And it's all centralized now in this Northern Illinois Transit Authority. So the big thing, though, for people who live in the suburbs is that essentially this is a bailout for Chicago Transit on the backs of suburban residents. That's just the truth. What it does is it, first of all, for the revenues to fund this, all the interest earned on the money in the road fund goes to this new organization, NITA, Northern Illinois Transit Authority. Now, the road fund has billions of dollars in it, and hopefully that's being invested wisely, but all that interest goes to just this regional authority. Then there's a real estate transfer tax that gets added. It's basically $3 per $1,000 of value, and it's imposed on all real estate transactions in suburban Cook, DuPage, Kane, Lake McHenry, and Will counties. Suburban Cook, not the city of Chicago. Suburban Cook, DuPage, Kane, Lake McHenry, and Will. You're going to pay $3 more per $1,000 when you go to sell your home. Okay. Then all ground transportation, so Ubers and Lyfts, that type of thing, there's a 10% gross tip fares on rides that originate or terminate anywhere in the region. So now you're going to be plussed up 10% as a tax to pay for Metra and PACE. Have you watched a PACE bus go by? There's one person on it. Have you watched a Metra train go by at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday? I mean, literally, there's one carload and they have 9 cars. And you're going to be charged more because you're using Uber to go wherever you are going. There's a toll surcharge. This really pisses me off because I do use the tollways and I do appreciate that there's a lot of connectivity and they're usually in much better shape than other roads. But there's a toll surcharge, 50-cent additional toll fee on each transaction, but not to exceed $1 a day per vehicle. I mean, this is insane. If you use a toll then every single day of the year, you're paying $365 more. Seriously, $365 more to PACE and Metra and the Chicago Transit Authority, the CTA. Are you kidding me? Then there's the RTA sales tax distribution changes. All revenue from the 0.75% RTA sales tax that's already collected in the collar counties now goes to NITA. This is the biggest pile of crap ever. And this is all coming because guess what? Nobody's using the transit the way that they did before. The bill also requires them to have more policing. Now, Crane Chicago Business did get a hold of Kirk Dillard. He is the current chairman of the Regional Transportation Authority, and John Pletz wrote this article talking a little bit more about it. And I'm going to read just a little bit about it. It says that a bill by Senator Villalobos laid out governance structure, but also funding proposals to help the Chicago Transit Authority, Metra, and PACE, the agencies overseen by the RTA, deal with an anticipated $770 million shortfall next year when pandemic era federal support ends. So they've been living off of the federal government and the COVID money for 5 years now, basically. The bill includes a potluck of new revenue sources. I just explained those to you. And Dillard, Senator Dillard, former Senator Dillard, said this. He said multiple revenue streams in the bill are deposited into a new transit supportive development incentive fund, and others are dedicated to capital needs, leaving less than half of the new funding available for operations. So he says this doesn't really help. It helps, obviously, but it does not close the gap. By Dillard's math, the rideshare tax, the diversion of 0.25% sales tax from the collar counties, and extending the real estate transfer tax to Cook County would plug only $372 million of the projected $770 million deficit. That means the transit systems would have to cut staff and service. Well, maybe they should. And then he said, we're grateful for the Senate focusing on the fiscal cliff. However, as proposed, the new revenue included in yesterday's Senate bill fails to address the region's $770 million transit operating budget gap and would result in significant service cuts in 2025. Dillard also notes there's no funding for a transit police force in the proposed legislation. So they're going to take a lot of money from suburban people, and they're going to give it to this new authority. And it's really more for a bailout of CTA than anything. However, Metra and Pace are at odds too. I mean, I remember back in the day, we had a mass transit committee, and back then, I mean, they were looking in 2014, they needed $10 billion just in upgrades for Metra alone. And that funding has never come by. This has been a long time problem. They have failed to solve it, and now they're going to solve it on the backs of residents who live in Cook. Suburban Cook, not Chicago, unless you take Uber, but the rest, the suburban Cook and the rest of the suburbs. I mean, it's just a scam. And any suburban Democrat who votes for this bill should be voted out of office. That's the truth. Okay, that is just my quick and dirty update about what's going on. I'll give you more information as I get it. Of course, I'm looking for those budget bills to drop with specifics. They're going to be thousands of pages long. Last year's bill was 3,389 pages. We'll do what we can to analyze that, but we're not going to see much specifics, in my opinion. So there you go. They've got less than 48 hours to get this done. We'll see if they do. Thanks for joining me on this Facebook Live.